So I'm having a chat with Sandi Thom. How are you?
I'm very good, Jim. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks so much. So you've started to release some new music. We're going to play a track of yours called Revolution Anthem, and in brackets, Festival of the Oppressed. After this interview, tell us a little bit about the single, first of all.
Oh, well, where do we start? It's a song for the people, really. You know, it's basically I had taken a hiatus for a number of years now, 4 or 5 years, and I thought, well, I'm going to come back and what do I want to say? So I want to say something that really resonates with people. So when I sat down to write this with my co-writer, we literally just looked at everything that's going on in the world, everything that's on the end of people's tongues, everything that's frustrating people, that's angering people, that people are protesting against, and we pretty much just put it in a song. So we want to be a voice for the people, and that this song is basically, the people's song.
Yeah, nice. And that's coming off a new EP of yours called War Paint. What can people expect to hear when they get a chance to take a listen?
Um, well, I've been on a bit of a journey throughout my career where I went and did dabbled in different genres and blues and country and all sorts of things. But I've basically come back to my roots, which was, back in the day when I came out in the beginning with punk rocker. It was very stripped back, raw, rootsy voices and percussion, and nothing too over the top in terms of production. So, the song I just released before this, Silence, is pretty much just voices and a drone. And then Revolution Anthem again is just playing on a lot of harmonies and very little instrumentation, just very heavy drums. And so it's kind of, I'm looking, to put stuff out that's anthemic, tribal, that kind of hits you somewhere in deep down inside and has a really powerful message.
Nice. And as you've now covered a number of genres, do you think you know what sound you want to create going forward, or is there more scope for you to try things and see what works for you?
No, I think I've been around, sometimes you have to go around and you come back to the same place, but I think I've been on something of a journey creatively. And I think it takes a long time for an artist to coin a sound, if you like. And I think I've come back to the conclusion that that ultimately is my, signature sound, is that I grew up, I was in a gospel choir. I sang in a band with three-part harmony. I've always been one to use my voice instrumentally and also lyrically speaking. So I think that is kind of really my sound at the end of the day. So I'm going to now at this point, I'm just going to keep cultivating that and, making it stronger.
Nice, nice. And when it comes to writing new music, how do tracks normally start off for you?
Um, Typically, I will sit down with a guitar or a piano, and I'll just start mumbling something of a melody. So usually, I typically start writing chord progressions and melodies, and then from there, I can sometimes blurt out lyrical ideas, or I've got something in my head already. For example, my son and I were reading a book the other day called Where the Wild Things Grow. And then the next day I sit down and I start writing a song called Where the Wild Things Grow. So it's sort of sometimes just subconsciously in you, these, little moments of inspiration. I don't typically tend to take lyrics like spoken word poetry essentially and then put music to it. But when I do that, you tend to see that these are the more wordy songs, which makes sense. So Revolution Anthem was actually a song that had, my co-writer came with us essentially what was like spoken word about society. We're name dropping Brexit, Trump, Netanyahu, Liz Truss, everything under the sun in this song. And then I took it and made it into something of a commercial sounding song. So that's not typically how I write, but when I do those ones, those are the ones that are more like traditionally folk, more about the lyric than anything else.
Yeah, nice. And when it comes to the lyrics, and let's say you've created the music, how easy is it for you to create lyrics to music you've created?
Um, well, it's funny. Sometimes it's really easy, and sometimes it's not. You know, I find that when I write about what I see and hear, around me, then it's easy because there's so much inspiration draw from. Like, whereas yesterday I sat down and I started writing a song called what are we searching for? So, then I just look at everyday life. I look at people's lives. I go into that. I try and visualize that. What do people's lives look like? So I guess it's a lot of imagination at the end of the day. And obviously the easiest songs to write are the ones where you're inspired by extreme emotion, which is unfortunate for songwriters, because usually, if you go through massive amounts of pain and turmoil and challenges in your life, you usually write the best songs because, it's so from the heart and so authentic. It just depends really, but usually I labor over words quite a lot to say something simply, but yet craft it in a way that's very clever is quite difficult. So yeah, sometimes, less is more, but that's actually quite challenging.
Yeah, I'm sure. People will want to see you playing live as well. What's your plan for doing some live shows?
Well, if anybody doesn't know this, I've been a mom. My son is 7 now, so motherhood firmly, has been taken over my life for the last 7 or so years. But so I work my tour schedule now around being a mom. And I'm a single mom too, so it's like, it's a little somewhat challenging, but usually you'll find me on the road in the summer holidays, any type of school holidays and at the weekend. So I am going to be doing a run of festivals this summer, which is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I can well imagine. We have to touch on Punk Rocker. Your first single, when that came out, did you realize how big that track was going to be when you were writing it first off?
I think sometimes you know that there's a certain amount of magic in a song. I think you can intuitively feel that. I feel that also with the Revolution anthem. I feel like there's a magic in it. And with Punk Rocker, there was also an element of timing because, it was very much about the fact that we were going through this digital revolution, and that was really shifting the way that society functioned. And to write a song about sort of nostalgia and going back to these simpler times, it was really kind of just resonated with people because that's what really they felt, So I just put it into words and put it out in a song. I think, the thing that perhaps people don't know is that initially it wasn't a huge success because, we were up against the usual challenges of the industry, which was trying to just get it out there, get it played. And it's such an odd song. Not a lot of people actually play it. It wasn't until I did what I did with the web casting, which was very revolutionary in what it was, because it was pretty much non-existent, that I actually got attention. And then that's what got the song attention. And then, once it was out there, of course, it connected with people massively.